The Yacht. This mysterious vessel is a large point of contention for the forest community, and something that I have wanted to cover for some time now. So in today's video, let me explain what I believe is the most likely origin of this yacht, left adrift in the cove of the peninsula that harboured the dark forest. Before I explain my theory behind the vessel's origins and what has happened to it since its arrival, I want to first recount all the items of interest that can be found here. Before I began to write the script for this video, I decided to once again visit the yacht. Upon booting up the game and travelling to its location again, the haunting and eerie feeling I had from the first time I stumbled upon it returned. As you approach the vessel, you may spot the location of a grave, situated close by the shoreline. On close inspection, you will find that there is a number of photos scattered on the ground. The ones that you can pick up depict the yacht itself. However, the vessel in this photo appears much more maintained compared to the one you view for yourself. Its paint is worn, and when you see the craft up close, you realise how dated and old it really is. Rust lines all metals. Moulds stain the materials of the seats, and the paint has long faded. A magazine dated for the year 1984 can be found aboard, possibly giving an indication of its approximate time of arrival. Venturing into the craft, you will begin to find other interesting things. There are sketchings of the resurrection obelisk and a photo of a Virginian, indicating whoever sailed the vessel here either had prior knowledge of the goings-on within the peninsula or quickly came to discover its secrets. There is a milk carton that depicts a missing child reading on its label. Zachary was a 12-year-old when he was last seen playing outside his house. He is 5 feet 3 inches tall, heavy build, light complexion. He has blue eyes and dark brown hair. If you have seen this child, please report any information you may have to Missing Child Centre for Lost Children, 1-800 555 2221, provided as a public service by your local Dairy and Missing Child Safety Council. Situated in a frame on the vessel's interior is a drawing, created presumably by the character of Megan Cross. And finally, locked away in the yacht's private cabin is one of the various strange and ancient artifacts that can be found around the peninsula. So now that I have listed all the items, let's take this and try and explain the origins of this vessel, and why it was on the peninsula at all, and who it belonged to. My theory for the overall story of the yacht combines a few popular ones, as well as aspects that I have created myself. Notably that of the theory that the yacht was likely owned by the family of children that had been stolen away by the company Sahara Therapeutics. If you think about this, it would seem to make a lot of sense. The vessel doesn't seem like something to be owned by the common folk. Evidence for this theory comes specifically in the form of the missing child milk carton, where the owners of the vessel are hinted to be a family in distress searching for their stolen away child by the evil Sahara Company to be used in experiments surrounding the peninsula's dark artifacts. These individuals likely arrived sometime during the mid-1980s, as indicated by the yacht's magazine's publication date of 1984. However, I think there's more to this story. It's possible that this family researched Sahara and eventually came across information regarding a site located on the peninsula. Travelling here, the owners of the yacht were prepared to do what they must to retrieve their child. However, there is a few key pieces of information that does not make sense in this case. The yacht's cabin has a keycard lock on it, and beyond that, a Sahara keycard lock. A Sahara keycard is required to unlock the cabin door. This would be quite out of place for a vessel not belonging to the Sahara Company. Not so much though, to an employee of Sahara itself. We know from the tragic story of the Cross family that Matthew Cross was an employee and scientist of the Sahara Therapeutics Company. He volunteered his own daughter to the therapeutics project, utilising the mysterious powers of the dark artifacts that they had uncovered on the forest. He did this to hopefully cure a crippling sickness that Megan was suffering from. If Matthew Cross was an employee and he was able to involve his own children in the experiments, then it's likely that other children eventually became involved one way or another. Whether the parents knew of the extent of the horrific testing being performed is unclear. But I would say that most of the dark deeds being performed were likely kept out of the wider knowledge of the peoples involved, only ever realizing their mistakes after it was already too late. I believe that the owner or owners of the yacht were either employees of Sahara or parents of the test subjects. The yacht, Sahara's gift to them, allowing them to reach the peninsula safely, utilizing sea travel to avoid any unnecessary air travel complications in the region. At some time around the 1980s, the relationship between Sahara and who I will now refer to as the owners likely became strained, as access to their child became harder and they began to understand not all was well at the facility. Secrets were being kept and rumours of evil were stirring. It's likely the owners parted ways with the company in a sour fashion, and with hard feelings had between the two entities. Otherwise, the owners could have been unconnected to Sahara and only stolen the Sahara vessel after uncovering clues as to where their child, possibly Zachary from the milk carton, was taken after being abducted. In this variation, the couple that formed the owners likely researched the company and discovered the peninsula as a mysterious site of operations for Sahara, and after stealing a Sahara yacht, were able to set sail for the forest. Despite the specific origins for the owners, they would plan to save their child, or at least a child. They would eventually set sail to the peninsula. However, instead of heading for the Sahara facility, they would make landing much further away, in a cove south of the facility. Here they would make camp, planning and longing for their family's reunion. The significance of the milk carton would seem to suggest that the child Zachary could have been the owner's child. However, the validity of this is shaky. It might simply have been evidence that they had collected of other children that were part of the project that had disappeared in connection to the shady Sahara Therapeutics Corporation in a similar instance. Either way, I do not think the owners entirely knew what they were getting themselves into. After their arrival, they likely began to scout a path to the facility from their cove. Little did they know the terror that awaited them. Each time they ventured out, the feelings of being watched would grow. Bushes rustled around them, but upon closer inspection, they would find nothing. No one there. Ominous sounds would generate from the trees. Sometimes these ghastly howls would seem miles away. Other noises seemed eerily close. Sadly, despite their efforts up until this point, I think the horror of the forest was ready to reveal itself. As one day on one of their treks to discover the Sahara facility, they encountered something. Something big, something horrible, something inhuman. It was a Virginian. The owners were able to capture a photo of the beast before it was able to attack. Things from here become even more unknown, as it is suspected that shortly after these events, one of the owners, or one of the parents, dies. The cause of death is unknown. Perhaps it was with the altercation with the Virginian, perhaps it was the other mutants or cannibals that made their move on the two owners and were successful in killing or at least mortally wounding one of them. Either way, on the stretch of land that sits in the cove of the yacht's mooring, there is a single grave, a cross marking it, and photographs left behind of the vessel that brought them to this dreaded place. The other owner, now being alone against the darkness that infested the forest, now faced a difficult choice. They could continue on, to be constantly hunted and haunted by the demons that roamed the lands, that lurked behind every tree and in the corner of your eye, waiting to take you, waiting to devour you. Or there was another option. having lost their child, having lost their partner, and having lost their hope to the dark forest, only one act really remained. The final act. The final owner locked themselves in the yacht's cabin and likely committed suicide after burying their companion. Many years later, the yacht would remain stagnant, gently rocking in the cove. It would not be visited again for many years as it began to slowly show signs of rust and mould growing from its materials. Eventually, the yacht would come to be used by Matthew Cross himself for a brief time after he obtained the boy Timmy from the plane crash. That begins the game's story. Matthew's time here was limited, only staying long enough for him to gain his bearings before leaving for the facility with his prize. While on the vessel, he frames a drawing that Megan had done out of love, whilst hiding away another that she had drawn out of fear of her father and what he had become. He also locked away one of the dark artifacts that he had come across. This was the artifact key, and why he locked it away in the yacht is unknown. He likely believed it was a place to keep it safe, as he would take the yacht's keycard back with him to the Sahara facility, where you can later find it when reaching the facility as the playable character of Eric, after the boss battle with Megan. Beyond that, the yacht's history ends here, left to be uncovered in the future by further explorers or wanderers to the peninsula, to act as a reminder of the dark goings-on here within the forest. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification if you never want to miss out on another upload from Project Archivist. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a channel member through the join button on our channel homepage. You can also support Project Archivist on Patreon, where you can join a tier and earn constant rewards for your support. You can find links for both of these down in the description. And with that, that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.